Do whatever.
Okay.
Where do you feel like? Where do you feel?
Okay. Gotcha.
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, Mitch.
Yes.
You can curse all you want. I curse all the time.
Okay.
Hey, Mitch, he's a cussing deacon. YouTube, we're back. We're back again. The brothers are back. We're down one. Hopefully he comes on, but the brothers are back and we're loving football off season. Off season. I got Deacon to the left of me, and hopefully Trey Z comes on board. If not, we're going to just continue to lift him up in prayer. Hopefully he wakes up. Nonetheless, we're going to get started here. Deacon, what we always say today, man? What we always
say? I don't know what we always say.
Let's
get
it.
You don't know. Yeah. You don't know who you messing with. You don't know who you messing with. You don't know. You don't. I run you up and down the Serengeti. Heads ain't ready. I chew you up and spit you out like chicken confetti. My rhymes are heavy like elephants, stomping your regiments, dismembering all your limbs, ripping your ligaments. I break you down to an atom, change your chemical structure, roots and culture. You don't wanna fuck with this brother. I'm like a time bomb, or a fresh can of Wilshire. Stylus plexiglass, got you face down in the grass, ready to blast. Sticky for your jewels and your cash. Call me Robin Hood, take the loot back to the hood. I wish you would try to retaliate. I wait like a sniper, beat you like Street Fighter, heat you up like a lighter. Don't need no ghost writer. Original skill, killing at will. Terminates career like the pill. This is real, not no fiction. Came up for my jurisdiction. I'm liver than you, whether freestyle or written. Hitting hard like a hammer, like a natural disaster, like a hurricane. Plain and simple, bringing the pain. Won the battle, what? I'm ready to do this, beat your ass like Lennox Lewis, play you out like Parker Lewis. You
How was your day, man? Tell me how your day was, man.
Everything was good, man. Everything was good. We're sitting here right now, about to get into some football talk. You know, I work all day, and this is my highlight. I come home and I get to talk about the
off season,
man.
Off season.
Hey, even the off season is a highlight.
OTAs, baby. OTAs. We have a man in the waiting, I guess, that is out there watching some of the practice. The OTAs out there and gonna give us some insight of what's going on. Some insight on, and also he does some reporting, some behind the scenes stuff. My boy Mitch is with us today. Mitch, come on, man.
Mitch Tishler, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
All right, Mitch is one of our favorite reporters, man. He got all the info. He comes with the knowledge.
Behind the scenes,
in front of the scenes, the man be at practice. He got all the knowledge. So, Mitch, we're gonna start with a series of questions, and let me preface this first one here. It's not really a question; it's just a correction. Okay, a man's lower back is never okay in a room full of men. Never okay in a room full of men.
I feel like it's pretty standard when you are standing outside and butt hot that you could like pull up the back of your t-shirt to kind of expose your back to like if there's any breeze or anything. That's definitely my move anyway. And in turn, like your drawers do show, but it's like the top of my drawers. It's not like anything risque.
Here's the thing. It's not my lower back that's out there. So I'm done trying to defend JP here. I get it's super hot out there and everyone tries to stay cool in their own way. We spend over the course of an NFL season, the media corps spends far too much time with each other, both at practice, in the media room waiting, doing interviews, at games, on airplanes, at bars at night. We spend more time together than most of the rest of us spend with our families. So we all get to know each other extremely well, sometimes better than you would want to. So listen, this is JP's hill to die on. That's his way of staying cool, is he wants to, fluff up his shirt or whatever he does. Me, I'm a typical towel and water bottle boy, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, only one thing attached to that is a negative or a positive. No tramp stamp, right?
No comment.
No. Hey, so you said y'all spend a lot of time, and I was thinking about that with a lot of reporters. Y'all either some of y'all go on the road and some of y'all don't, but y'all seem to spend a lot of time with each other. Y'all seem to have a good rapport, whether it's JP or Nikki or any other reporter, y'all really stick together as far as knowing what to report and not to report, because that's important too, so you don't get kicked out. So reporting plays is no good. But with that said, how many times have you called Pete Haley to say you left 1 year too soon?
Pete Haley's killing it up in Connecticut, so it's hard for me to give him a hard time about anything. He's about to head over to Paris for the Olympics for 4 weeks to work with Mike Tirico. So we miss Pete. With all get out, I love the kid. I miss having him on the podcast. I miss hanging out playing golf with him, but I can't begrudge that guy. He's doing great things in his career, and I'm happy for him.
You a scratch golfer?
No. if you subtract the number of beers I drink in a round, then maybe we get close to there. But no.
You about a 10?
I'm about a 14, but I like to have a lot of fun on the golf course.
That's fun. When you're 14, you got to have fun. You're a scratch golfer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're a scratch golfer. You turn it into a job now. You ain't having no fun. You try to keep your score down. 14
is great for match golf because I'm a little bit of a high handicap, and I'll make a couple pars and birdies out there and give some people a hard time. But I'm out there to drink some beers and walk around the golf course and have a little bit of fun.
All right, let's get into the team aspect of this thing. We here at the OGs of the DMV show, we kind of like having the all-name team. Frankie Love, Jean Baptiste, Yankoff. Those kind of guys we like. So you've been out there now a while. Does Frankie Love, you know what I'm talking about, right? Frankie Louvu?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. So Frankie Love, does he have the speed that everybody says he does? Because it looks fast on tape. Is he fast in real life?
He's a guy that has a nose for the football. I was just talking last practice that we were at on Tuesday or Wednesday, lose track of the days. He was covering a tight end who was running a seam route from about the 30-yard line or so. Was down around the 5 goal line, 5-10-yard line, somewhere around there. And Mariota decided to tuck it and run to the outside. And Louvu got to him. It would have been, had that play happened in an NFL game, he would have taken Marcus Mariota's head off, and that guy would have never played football again. However, in practice, they're not hitting, they're not in pads yet, and he ended up, holding Mariota to a 2-yard gain or something like that. He's sticky in coverage and has enough football IQ and whereabouts to turn and go make a play if it's away from the guy that he's supposed to, or the area that he's supposed to be in. So he's been. I always have to preface it with these guys are out there in t-shirts and shorts and a helmet on. It's, you get a feel for speed and quickness and athleticism and those sorts of things. But, until you start seeing those guys making real tackles and going after plays, blocking for real and being able to get their hands on receivers as they're going, in and out of breaks and stuff like that, it's hard to get a real feel for it. But Frankie Louvu has been one of the guys that I've been impressed with in terms of what he's shown here in the, short part of this offseason that we've had.
Well, it's probably already the reason why he only one of the ones that got a 3-year contract.
He's a player. I think between him and Jeremy Chin is going to be a lot of fun for fans to watch. He's a dude that is always around the football as well, and he's a brick, what house. He's a big man that can move quickly, and he's shown a lot of speed and coverage and ability to step up and make tackles, quote unquote, in the run game.
Speaking of Chin, Frankie Chin is almost like a linebacker. They say his linebacker size almost.
Yeah, fans fell in love with this Buffalo nickel word, which is what Ron Rivera used for a safety that you kind of cheat up towards the line of scrimmage. That's the role that Jeremy Chin's going to play. When he's on the field, I think he's technically a safety, but he's one of those kind of box safeties that does a really good job in and around the line of scrimmage. He's not the guy that's going to be roaming 20 yards downfield trying to, catch deep receivers. That's going to be more of the Derek Forrest, Jeremy Reeves, Percy Butler, whatever the heck they end up doing at safety out back there. But he's a guy that's he's going to play a lot of dime. He's going to play a lot of nickel. He's going to play a lot of. I think this team's going to have 3 safeties on the field quite often.
Triplets of terror.
And part of the reason is that Jeremy Chinn's kind of a hybrid safety linebacker type player.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you finding it hard to report on anything but Jayden Daniels? I know everybody must ask you about Jayden Daniels because we haven't had a quarterback in so long.
Yeah, listen, that's the storyline of this season. His development is, arguably the most important thing. You want this team to do well and win games, and you want to see, Cliff Kingsbury's offense do well, and you want to see Emmanuel Forbes have a bounce-back season. All these, other storylines. At the end of the day, it's the Jayden Daniels story, and that's what's going to matter for this franchise moving forward. I think he's looked really good. The ball comes out super quick out of his hands, and he struggled a little bit in the last practice when they were running some goal line stuff. But the rest of the time that we've seen him, the ball's on time, in the right place. He does a really good job of delivering it to a receiver where he can catch it and go make a play after the catch. And when they end up in these little kind of scramble drills, last week he had a really good scramble drill play where who was the receiver? Dax Milne was downfield and broke back probably 25 yards downfield. And Jayden just threw a perfect high away from the defense ball right to the sideline. Easy toe tap, easy play to keep the sticks moving. And those are the kind of things that that I'm excited about seeing from him. Just the ability to kind of put the ball where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there, obviously is super important. And it's not something that any of these Commanders quarterbacks going back to maybe Alex Smith or so was the last one that kind of did that. So it's a different ball game with him out there.
I don't find it surprising that Jayden threw a good ball. But I find surprising you said that Dax Milne was open. Just being honest.
This was a Jayden Daniel. This is Jayden throwing Dax open.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Dax bobbled the ball and ended up catching it kind of as he was going to the ground. But I've been saying if he's throwing that to 17 or 1 instead of 15, that's a catch, no question. No one, we're not worried about it. So, and that's part of Dan Quinn and Cliff and Joe Witt and all these guys, are a little bit more old school football coaches. None of these rookies are being anointed anything. Jayden's running with the twos. You see Luke McCaffrey working with the ones a little bit, but he's probably, and maybe Ben Sennett some. But for the most part, all of these draftees are running second, third, fourth team stuff, and he's going to make them earn it. And you know what? I love to see that because in the previous regime, far too many players were anointed far too early in their careers, and not challenged to be better.
Speaking of that, how is Brown doing, the wide receiver there? I think he was our third or second round pick a couple of years ago. It's like he hasn't produced. We would hope to be able to get some use out of him. He was a pretty, 4.4 guy, 4.3 guy, speed-wise. How is he looking this season with the new coaching regime?
Bieniemy looks the same that he kind of always does. And quite frankly, if he wasn't able to find a way to be successful last year with Sam Howell, who was his college quarterback, is one of his good buddies. Also, Sam was throwing the ball 50 times a game. I'm not particularly high on Bieniemy. I think he's a one-trick pony, and that's supposed to be a speed downfield, and he just doesn't make big plays for this team. And he was drafted in the third round in 2021, so this year is his last season with the team. 21, 22, 23. He's got one more year with the team, but he's had some opportunities to get out there and play and be a difference maker, and he just hasn't done it. And I think, if you look at the wide receiver core as a whole, I love Terry and I love Jahan. I'm excited about what Luke McCaffrey might be, but there's not a lot of depth there. There's not a lot of big play ability outside of Terry and Jahan. So, it's going to be a battle all season, and certainly if any of those guys end up getting hurt, it's going to be a real problem.
Well, what about Bryson Tremaine? Everybody says he's making a shot for the team. Listen, we like was it Marcus Jean? Was it the Baptiste? Not Baptiste. Jean Baptiste is Ramsey Jackson.
Yeah. Now, I like Bryson Tremaine. He's a Stanford kid. He's he showed, I guess, relatively well in training camp last year, practice squad and all that. You're really talking about a real back of the roster player there. If he's on this roster, it's most likely on the practice squad, and you're looking at. Listen, you have Terry, Jahan, McCaffrey. You have Zacchaeus, who they just signed from Philly. Jamison Crowder fits kind of everything that Dan Quinn loves, with him being a veteran, and he can do a couple different things in the slot, the punt return game, kick return game, that sort of thing. That's 5. You got 1 or 2 more slots depending on how they look at it, and you're looking at Bieniemy and Dax Milne and Mitchell Tinsley and Bryson Tremaine. I don't even know who some of the other guys are. So really, you're talking about
Cashmere Allen. I know you forgot Cashmere Allen.
Kaz Allen might have the same problem that Emmanuel Forbes has. He might just be too small for the NFL.
Right. That's why I was looking at Jack Saint and Tremaine, because they both 6'4". So we need height.
Yeah. Well, they also who was the dude they just signed from Atlanta? They just was that
what's his name? Yeah, he just
Bird,
got
Demir
Bird.
Yeah. So the problem with Kaz Allen is the best part of Kaz's game was kick and punt returns. They just changed the kickoff rules so that it's kind of devalued at a fair amount, and it's more of a running play than it is a passing play or a big play for a guy like Kaz. So I like Kaz a lot. He obviously had a nose for the end zone at UCLA. I don't know that this group of back end receivers are going to really, make a big difference this season.
Actually, a question that we always talk about at the end of every season, because we usually suck half the time.
More than half the time.
As Washington Commander fans, well, I'm assuming we do, but do we appear, or do we over evaluate our talent? We think we're better than we actually are. When it comes to the whole NFL.
Here's my thing about it. Yes, I think fans get super excited about players. You think about some of these Simi Cobbs and dudes who have left to go elsewhere, and fans are up in arms that they're doing, and they never see the playing field for anybody else. I think you also see the fact that so many players that the Commanders cut never get re-signed anywhere else. But that's the way fans should be. The teams that I'm a fan of, I go crazy about some back of the roster player, because that's the dude that I'm excited for what he could be. You obviously think about the best possible opportunity for him and how they could step in. Bryson Tremaine, 6'4". Man, if they just get the ball to him in the red zone, he could score 5 touchdowns this year. That's the right way to be a fan of a team. If you're rooting for your team and you think that they're all bums, then why are you rooting for them? Why are you rooting for them? So I don't blame people for getting them. We call it Ashburn syndrome. I don't blame people for, suffering from a little Ashburn syndrome, because now's the time to be optimistic. It's the middle of May. There's half the players on the team are brand new. The whole coaching staff is new. You have a new front office. Everything's looking up right now. I'm excited about what they can be. And sometimes I have to, temper my excitement and hold back a little bit, just so I can make sure that I'm not, getting over my skis about, who some of these guys are and what they can do.
Mitch, as my man Trey Z comes on board here, I'm going to ask a quick question about the offensive line. And, the question is the left tackle position. Can the rookie be coached up enough to be a credible left tackle for what you've seen for these first couple practices?
Brandon Coleman,
yeah. So the hardest thing about this is the O-line is, T-shirts and shorts. You're getting no physicality. So it's hard to, a big thing for the O-line is timing, punch, and, footwork and all that kind of stuff. And you can get a feel for, athleticism and those sorts of things. But until I see him in one-on-one drills with John Allen or, Daron Payne or Dorrance Armstrong or whoever it may be, it's hard to get a feel for how these guys are going to hold up. Honestly, I do think they're going to sign a veteran tackle. They're going to sign a Charles Leno type from some other team ends up cutting, I believe. But ultimately, if they don't do that, I think Cornelius Lucas can be a credible left tackle. I don't think he can last for 17 games. So for me, I'd start Big Luke, let him play. And if he's, playing well and not hurt, then, don't mess with what's working. And if he does end up, getting nicked up, then I think that's when you turn to Brandon Coleman. But big picture with the offensive line, you gotta look at the difference in the coaching that these guys are getting. Travell Wharton was a lifetime essentially assistant offensive line coach starting in Carolina and coming up here in the NFL. He was promoted to head offensive line coach. He hurt his back and wasn't really at practices and training camp last year. So ultimately, you had Juan Castillo who stepped in. He was the run game coordinator, tight ends coach, and then by default, the O-line coach as well. And already, from talking to the guys both on and off the record, you're getting a feel for the difference in the coaching style and the directness that these guys attack their players with. And they've talked already about, we're finally getting direct coaching. We're getting, this is how we run this play. This is what your blocking responsibilities are. This is what we want footwork and hands to be. And they're saying it's already a big step up from, what they were getting last year. Because I know, somewhat off the record last year, there was a lot of talk about they would get into meeting rooms and one coach would say one thing, another coach would say another, and the playbook would say a third thing. And they get to the point where they were, warming up for games, and amongst themselves they're discussing, hey, how do you want to handle this? How do you want to handle that? As opposed to it being, worked on all week and having the game plan be all part of it. So I think the O-line, the interior of the O-line should be much improved with Tyler Biadasz in there. I'm excited about Allegretti, but overall, I think the coaching improvement will go a long, long way in terms of not having those breakdowns where, DB where rushers are getting free lanes at the quarterback.
That's good. And one more question before I bring Mr. Trey Z on. Coming straight from the set of Blade. Man, you talked about Tyler, well, we call him Tyler Badass here. Because we were pretty enamored with Chase Roulier, except he could never, ever stay healthy all season.
Well,
so you think that
he didn't have it. He got hurt last year. He got hurt one time last year. I don't know if you can say he scored his knee and missed the year.
Well, it seemed like he was always hurt. Put it that way.
It might have been just coaching.
He was one of the guys that was harmed the most by last year's shenanigans, for lack of a better word. He's a center. He was an all SEC center. The Arkansas football team won the best O-line in, I think, college football his senior year. He's a center, and he came in here, and Ron was so obsessed with this effing position flex BS that ruins players. There's a time and a place for it. It's just not for everybody. And Ricky, from day one, they had him working at guard. And if I remember correctly, when I talked to him last year, he said he hadn't played guard since high school. And they were trying to move him over or have him be available at both center and guard. And ultimately, he didn't get better at either position because he didn't get enough time there. This year, they're at least what we've seen so far, he's only been playing center. He was staying after practice with Mason Brooks on Wednesday when we were out there. The two of them were working center guard, combos and stuff like that. I think he's a guy that can step in and will be your backup center this year. And hopefully over the years develop into a kid who can be your starting center. But I like that they're walking with him before making him run. With a rookie quarterback, I love the idea of bringing in a veteran center, somebody who can help you read defenses and set O-lines. So there's a lot to it.
Go ahead, Blade.
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Sitting on the porch, dropping bombs like a key. I'm the shit, baby. Here to make your eardrums sing. I spread my magic everywhere.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm Mitch. Can I call you Mitch?
Please.
Hey, Mitch.
I'd be offended if you called me anything else, by the way.
Hey, well, I won't do that. As you see, my counterpart give me a new nickname. But the nickname that I love to go by on this show, Mitch.
Oh, Lord.
I always right, Mitch. When I heard you say coaching was abysmal, these guys, they always used to say it was the player. Players stink. can't do nothing, this and that. And I was like, no, guys, these calls, these decisions, what they're doing. What did you say? One coach was saying one thing, another coach was saying another thing, and the playbook was Nintendo. That's what you said. And that's what I was saying.
Like, it wasn't even on game day. Like, the calls and all that stuff, like, may have worked, in theory or whatever. It was the prep leading up to it every week. Prep. They only won 4 games last year, but half of the games that they lost, they were just lost before the game even started because they never prepped for it. And when you look at this coaching staff, that's not something that Dan Quinn's going to allow these guys to do. And, if it was the same roster as last year with the same talent level, I'd expect 1 or 2 more wins just from a preparedness, angle of it. But I also think the roster's improved as well this year. So I think it'll be more than a 1 or 2 win improvement. But that's the coaching last year was a huge problem, not just on game days, but starting from training camp and making its way through.
Proper planning prevents what? Piss poor performance. And that is what we had last year. So let me ask you this question specifically. Because the big change that we had and we had hope in was our man, the offensive coordinator that was going to come and save the day. What happened with that?
Let me see how I want it. So I always say with offensive coordinators,
be careful, Mitch.
No, listen, I was a huge Eric Bieniemy fan. Like when they signed him, I was pumped up because I thought he was going to be great.
We all did.
Turned out
he took an L.
in the modern day NFL, both offensive and defensive coordinators, but we'll talk offensive coordinators, because that's where we're angling at here. You have a group of guys who say, my playbook is great. My playbook will get guys open. If you do what I tell you to do, that guy's going to be open on the 3-step drop. And, it's kind of a follow my playbook to a T and we'll be successful. And then there's the other set of offensive coordinators that are like, hey, what route does Terry run really well? Let's make sure we run Terry some of those routes. What does my quarterback do well? Is my left tackle a problem? Okay, let's work to the right side more. And so you have guys who will work with the roster they have and kind of create a game plan around the players that they have. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Eric Bieniemy was a guy that was and I understand why he's that way. They won a bunch of Super Bowls in Kansas City, but he came in and it was, do it how I say and we'll be successful. And if you don't do it that way, then we'll fail. But at the end of the day, he didn't take into account the players that he had on the roster and who could do what well. And ultimately, he fell in love with the passing game, as we all saw. And, I like a more explosive offense. Obviously, it's a more fun product to watch, but you got to run the ball some, way more than they did last year. So I just
he was a gestophobic.
He got a little bit lost last year. Yeah.
Not a jest to save his life, really. And so hopefully this team will adjust. Even if we have a plan and we plan the plan and we got the players for the plan, if the plan ain't working by second quarter, somebody's going to say plan B. That's all I want to see. If plan B don't work, we got our behinds whipped, and that's okay. But at least we saw adjustment. That's
going to happen this year. I mean, this team is improved, and I think they'll be better. But this team isn't quite at a point where they're ready to win meaningful football games. In January, February, going forward. And so there are gonna be some games that are gonna be, ugly and where they're out talented and forget the plans. They're just, the other team is just better along the way. But when you listen to Dan Quinn and Cliff and Joe Witt and company, they've been making a point since they were hired to talk about this collaborative effort and how they want to hear what players want to run, and they want to take input from those guys. And I think part of that is in their DNA. That's how they want to run the team. I think it's also a support of the players who they've all talked to, where the players weren't listened to last year and weren't given an opportunity to give input. I think this is them publicly kind of saying, okay, guys, like, this is a collaborative thing. We're all going to work together to make this thing work. And at the end of the day, like, is that going to be successful? I don't know. We'll see. But I think you have a better opportunity, being successful, working collaboratively than being a dictator.
I agree. I think we all agree with that, fellas, right?
Yeah,
Everybody?
I think
We all agree. It's all about coaching right now.
It's all about coaching.
We have a majority of new players on the team, so it's going to be up to these coaches to do their best coaching job to try to get them ready for season. I mean, game one, so that they can all get together on the same playbook and be ready to go, because that's probably going to be our not our downfall, but the reason why we won't win a tremendous amount of games. I mean, we got to cap Biggie Steve. He think we can win 15 games, but you know how fandom.
Biggie Steve.
Biggie Steve. They gonna win. Now, one question, since I brought that up, Jahan Dotson. Now, Biggie is enamored with Jahan Dotson. He thinks Jahan Dotson is just he's a number one. He had a down year last year. What do you think is going to happen? Because I saw the pass that Jayden threw to him on the sideline. It was a nice little catch. But it always seems to me when you see a good catch like that, these guys are blanketed. It's a good catch because it was a hard catch. But how's he? What are you looking like this year? Is he looking a little hard, a little stronger, a little faster?
When you're running 7-on-7 stuff over and over and over again for weeks at a time, they're all running the same plays over and over. So there's a lot of times that the defense looks ahead because it's easy to kind of cheat in those drills a little bit. And, you know that John's going to run a skinny post and, so you kind of cheat on it. But I think Jahan is another player. A lot of guys last year were very quiet about the frustrations that they had with the coaching, the game plan, the whole rigmarole. And I think Jahan was a very good soldier last year in terms of keeping his mouth quiet and just kind of, playing the game. And I don't know that he's a number one, but I think he can be a very good number two. And I also think the addition of Luke McCaffrey and having a little bit more of a dynamic receiver in the slot / play on the outside a little bit can help him as well. I think also bringing in Zach Ertz is going to help a lot. He's a guy that can work the middle of the field and, get himself open again in one-on-one coverage. So, Jayden should have some more outlet passes to him. It's hard for me to give too big of a hard time to any of the guys on offense last year because it was just such a disaster, from the start. But he certainly Jahan has something to show, and I think he knows it, and I think we're going to see it this year.
Is this a contract year for Jahan?
No, this is just a second year. He's got 2 more years plus the 5th-year option.
Okay.
It's third year.
This is his 3rd year coming up. Yeah, he's only played 2.
What's the most improved position on the Commanders?
Let me ask. I feel like it's the most straightforward answer, but let me ask you guys. What do you think?
Linebacker.
Yeah, linebacker.
It's obviously quarterback.
I legitimately think that the upgrade in linebacking core for the Commanders might be the biggest upgrade at any individual position group across the NFL. To go from David Mayo and the trash that they were running out there last year, no offense to those guys, but listen, I think Bobby Wagner's a little washed. Like, he's old. He's not going to be great in coverage. He's not quick. He's not as quick or speedy as he was, but his leadership is going to go a long way. And his football
the best
IQ,
we had.
He's way better than the best they had. And Frankie Louvu, as we talked about already earlier with Deacon and company, is I think he's going to be really, really good as well. And so, yeah, I don't see how the upgrade at linebacker doesn't affect the defense across the board, because all of a sudden the corners, aren't going to be asked to step up and do as much in the run game. Ostensibly, you should be able to get more pressure on the quarterback because you have solid linebacking play in the middle, and you can afford to blitz, a couple more guys. So your corners on the outside shouldn't have to cover as long. I mean, the fact that Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera, who both were, successful NFL linebackers, would be so lost as to how to properly staff that position is mind-boggling.
He's about to cry.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Mitch, you're the man. You're just repeating what I've been trying to get these guys to understand. They're probably not going to air this, though, Mitch. So
we'll just cut all this out.
No.
Speaking of linebackers, Mitch, how's Davis doing? I mean, he was our number one pick. He had a lot of talent, but he was poorly coached, as we hear. So, can we make some use out of him after a number of years of having, and he was our leading tackler in one particular year. I don't know, it was
last year.
Yeah, last year. So, can we get some use out of this guy?
I mean, this is his last year in Washington, so figure it out. Like, if you can't find a way to be successful, with guys like Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu around you, if you can't find a way to be a professional and learn how to play the game of football, then I don't know that there's much teaching you. What does bode well for him is that we know how much Dan Quinn and Joe Witt like to, move guys around in the defense and do different things. He should be freed up to do different things because he's not going to be asked to be a 3-down linebacker. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him put his hand in the dirt and rush off the edge from time to time. I think he's going to be a slot blitzer from time to time. I mean, this is an opportunity for him to show other NFL teams that he can be a serviceable NFL linebacker. And there are players who are not particularly athletic but have a high football IQ that can go make plays. Then you have guys that are super athletic, don't have a particularly high football IQ, and they disappear. And then you have the all pros and, Hall of Famers who have high IQ and, elite athleticism.
So he's like an Iraq bow.
I mean, he's more Chase Young than anything else, if you want to be honest here. Like a lot of show, but not a lot of dough.
Oh, that's cold.
Bitch.
A lot of talking bad. Yeah. Hey, Mitch,
you guys are big.
No, don't worry about it. We ran that out.
Hey,
he ran that out of us.
As Mitch said that. we have hope.
Hey, Mitch,
not that we weren't excited about Chase, Mitch. It's just that was a sad, tragic situation.
Listen. If I think if Chase can get his head right and kind of
get his neck right first.
Yeah, yeah.
I would argue
he's a Jordan Reed.
Between the ears was a bigger issue than the physical with him.
Okay.
So he was too much celebrity. You saying he was too celebrity?
No, not too much celebrity. I think when you're as successful as you are your entire life, you expect that that's just going to continue. From Pee Wee football through college, he was the best player probably on every football field he ever stepped on, and he was able to rely on the fact that he was arguably more athletic than probably anybody else on all those football fields as well, and he was able to use that to be successple. And when he started going up against guys who had not equal but higher athletic traits and could kind of stymie some of his I would say finesse moves, he got a little bit turned around and didn't really know where to reach into his bag of tricks to counteract, to run some counters and stuff like that. And it just turned out that he fell in love with a couple moves and they became very predictable. And you saw NFL teams stopping him pretty easily as we got later in his career.
Yeah, that's definitely
he's a Caitlin Clark.
All three of y'all, stop playing with my name.
What?
I mean, damn! If you're gonna do that to Caitlin Clark after whatever 3-4 games,
3 games, man.
I'm just watching the highlights.
He came on late throwing fireballs.
Listen. Who knows what Caitlin Clark's gonna be?
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, speaking about projects, how about Forbes? We talked about him earlier. Is he seen to be improving? On the second team.
Yeah, listen, I think that in this defense, Emmanuel Forbes should be better. We've seen the Redskins football team, Commanders, along the way go out and sign and bring in corners and not use them correctly. It started with Josh Norman, went to William. Who's the dude they shipped off to the Steelers?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
He from Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm losing my mind. Anyway, and then you have Emmanuel Forbes, who they brought in. His biggest problem, they weren't using him well last year, but when he ultimately ended up getting benched and getting himself in trouble, was when he decided that he didn't want to get involved in the run game. and he didn't want to stick his head in there and go try and make tackles and stuff like that. And if you're not a willing tackler at any position on defense, obviously you can't be expected to be on the field. And so I think he's got to get that portion of it kind of figured out. Obviously, his size is probably why that was a problem, but he's got to.
Somebody got to get him some milk.
He needs some milk.
Well, listen, that frame doesn't have that. Like, he just
creative.
He's gonna be forever skinny. He's never gonna be big. But you look at what the corners did in Dallas with Joe Witt and company last year, and they want guys who are going to be able to force turnovers and go get the ball. And listen, a lot of this are similar things that Ron Rivera said, the past couple of years when he was here. The problem with Ron was that he was mostly all talk and didn't translate to the field very much. I think you're seeing the stuff that Dan Quinn talks about, he does on the field as well. So he's at least trying to make changes. But they want guys that can go and make plays. They want guys that can get their hands on the ball and get turnovers. That's who Emmanuel Forbes was coming out of college. And you hope that he's able to recapture and they're able to find a way, to use them best. You had Dan Quinn talking this week about, OTAs and mini camps and how he likes to use this period to put guys in different situations and find out if maybe they have a hidden talent or a hidden skill that he didn't know about. And I love theoretically that idea of using this time to throw guys in different places. And so he had Emmanuel Forbes returning punts. That was one of the, things. I don't think Forbes is a punt returner, but he is. I like the idea that he's probing Forbes. He's trying to figure out what he can do, what he can't do, where it fits, where it doesn't fit.
He made him a kamikaze.
I mean, can you imagine 5 years ago in the NFL when there weren't the halo rules and all that? If you had Emmanuel Forbes back there.
Oh my goodness!
When I see him run, I was watching practice and I was watching that clip of him running that ball back, and I was like, man, this dude gonna break his leg. His legs are so thin, it just looks like he's gonna snap.
It's remarkably.
It's gotta be worse in person.
It's jarring.
Mitch, are you when you talked about leadership on the field and Bobby Wagner having kind of jarred something in my head that I'm gonna ask you if this is you or not. I'm not sure if it's you or not. But are you the reporter last year that made Ron say it's the quarterback? Was that?
I don't remember who asked that question, but listen, like I feel like we bagged on Ron enough here.
No. I was going because somebody this year, I thought it was you too, who said that who made our coach say that I see that's y'all favorite question, leadership.
Yeah, that was my question this year. Yes,
that was you. It seemed like you got a vendetta against our coaches here, making them say stuff, making them go viral.
Coaches can impart a lot on a football team. Obviously, they're setting the culture, they're setting tones at practices and all that. But you need a guy in the locker room who's going to stand up and tell someone when they're BSing or tell them what they need to hear. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the past 4 years, almost since London retired, but really the last 4 years, I'll talk about like all the players that came to Washington were drafted by Washington, kind of came up through the organization. They weren't leaders elsewhere. They never saw the way other teams did it. And so everyone was teaching themselves how to be an NFL player. And I give John Allen credit because there was a vacuum there, and somebody had to step up and be that guy to, lead pregame huddles and talk and do all these different things. But that's not who he is as a person. That's not who he is as a player. He's a very much a quiet, reserved guy that, gets in early, works his tail off, and gets on the practice field or the game field and does his thing. He doesn't want to be the guy that's trying to hype up other guys. And, players know. They know that that's not really who he is. So despite the fact that nobody else was stepping up to say anything, he sat in that role and he tried to be the leader that he could be. But ultimately, if that guy doesn't really, believe what he's saying, if you will, no one's putting a lot of stock in that. And I think when you bring in a guy like Bobby Wagner on defense and on offense, I think you have Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler as well, who you have to, point out as well. And that's Marcus Mariota too, in that world. Like, these are guys who are established NFL veterans. Bobby Wagner is going to be a Hall of Famer in, 5 years, whenever he retires, 6 years, whatever the time frame is. You have these guys who have been there and done that and been successful and are confident enough in who they are as football players that they're willing to extend a hand to the younger guys or the different guys on the team and try and bring them along. And I just, that was such a massive missing piece from last year. And if you had a strong leader who could go to the coaches and say, hey, like, what the hell are you guys doing? We need more. You know, maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, but at least you would have had somebody expressing that to them. And I just think it's going to be a big difference this year. And, you know, it starts with, setting the tone on OTA practice fields. And you see it from these guys from the top down. Bobby Wagner called out Sam Cosmi for leaning on a play where he knew he was going to pull, and, you know, dragged him over afterwards. It was like, hey, I knew you were going to do this because of X, Y, and Z. Austin Eckler in the running back drills, you know, he's toe tapping his feet on the sideline every time, reaching for the end zone, you know, trying to pretend like it's a real play. Where you have a lot of other guys that just kind of catch the ball and kind of lollygag and go out of play. And it's just setting the tone for what the expectation is for an NFL football player. And the Commanders haven't had that since they were the Redskins.
That's true. Mitch, we appreciate you coming on, man. Where can they read you or find you? Don't go up to the practice field knocking on his shoulder now and talking about, hey, Mitch, I seen you on the show. Where can they find you at, Mitch?
Twitter and Instagram at Mitch_Tishler. And, of course, the Beltway Football Podcast, which airs on Monumental Sports pretty much all through the summer, all through the season. It'll be, once we get to football season, it'll be a kind of a pregame show from 11:30 to 12 on game days, Sundays. So you'll be able to get a little bit of kind of our old magic that we used to have with B. Mitch and Santana and all those guys, and having some fun. So a lot of things to look forward to. But yeah, Beltway Football, Monumental Sports, Mitch_Tishler, Instagram and Twitter.
All right.
Thanks,
One of our
Mitch.
favorite reporters.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
Mitch.
coming on, Mitch.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey, Mitch, and I know we don't like to rag on, Ron Rivera so much, but I just got one more question.
I took a little.
I tried to get you out of there, Mitch.
We can be eliminated.
We can be eliminated.
Mitch don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, he do.
I don't know what he's talking about.
You don't want to know either.
Put it in the private chat. Put it in the private chat for me.
See you later, Mitch.
See you, Mitch.
All right, later, boys.
That was Mitch Tishler, man. We always appreciate when he comes on. I looked at his eyes. I knew he didn't know what the hell you was talking about, Trey.
Eliminated is a T-shirt that I'm working on, y'all. I don't ever want to go back.
That's gonna be in our merch.
Man, that's when I knew.
Tell everybody what it is.
Oh, when Ron Rivera, we were in the play. Well, our only chance. We didn't have no chance, but still, this was our only way to stay in contention. We were playing the game. And the guys I can't remember what game it was, but the guys got out there and played the worst. There was no energy. There was nothing. And when I say nothing, absolutely nothing. And we were like, wait a minute, hold on. Nobody's got these guys. Nobody was hitting. Nobody was getting mad. He's talking about leadership. Because we kept asking that question, like, why isn't there anybody yelling at anybody? Why is Ron? This is our last chance, and guys are out there 3 and out. Defense is just getting walked down the field. Touchdown. Okay, here we go again. 3 and out.
Isn't that the game when we put our quarterback back in after being off for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think so, man. All I know is,
yeah, we benched Heineke and put
we did. We put
the Philadelphia quarterback in.
Wentz back in.
Yeah, Carson Wentz.
Right. And then so when they asked the question at the end of the reporter, that's why I thought it might have been him. That's what I thought. There's a reporter said, hey, did you know that this game right here would be the game that would definitely eliminate us from the playoffs? And Ron took a pause and said, we could be eliminated? What? Every fan ever knew that. It was seriously. It
was a bad.
I can't think of anybody who wouldn't have knew that. If you watch the game of football and the Commanders is your team, how did you not know that? The coach, the guy. It wasn't the lineman coach. It wasn't the quarterback coach. I mean, it wasn't even Major Tutty. It was Ron Rivera. And Ron Rivera looked at the camera and said, we could be eliminated. I knew it. I said, well, there it is. That's it for me. I signed off. There was hope with these guys up here. I was done. And I thank you, Mitch, for coming on. And once again, as the Deacon has removed the new nickname to go back to my old nickname. I know y'all hate it. I know you do. I know it's bad. I know, but
I hate to say, hey, Trey, I hate to say that what Mitch said about the buffoonery that was going on with your coaching staff at a professional level, that didn't even sound like a high school level.
Joe, that's what so
you know what I'm saying? The buffoonery. You should. So you be telling me the players are
basically buffoonery.
Deacon, y'all should feel better because remember, we would kill ourselves.
Now it makes sense though. The pizza guy beat us. I'm like, how did the pizza guy beat us? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the new team killed us. He owned us.
He owned us.
Was it Danucci or was it
No, it was
New York. That was the other guy.
It was a pizza. Yeah, pizza dude.
And the New York team ain't won nothing.
DeVito, DeVito, the pizza maker. Yeah,
we made. Was that New York, right?
Yeah.
We made New York a franchise again. We did that.
It makes sense, man. They out there calling plays in the dirt, man. I mean, they were out there drawing pictures in the sand.
We single-handedly gave Daniel Jones a fat contract. That was all on our back, baby.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I feel redeemed. I feel great now. I mean,
don't you feel bad though for like Heineke and what's the quarterback last year? How?
Here's the thing.
They out there rookies.
Here's what I didn't like, Al. I didn't like when the biggest glaring moment that I got out of his interview and what he was sharing with us is the fact that football has gotten so political, right? Growing up, we would expect somebody was turning over something. Somebody was getting punched in the mouth on the team by another player on the team. These things happen because you're so angry. You know how we get. We were
angry.
Right, we on the couch. So when we on
the couch cussing each other out.
I mean, yeah, hey, want to fight each other. How dare you? But my point is, there was nothing. And then what he also said, I hope y'all picked up on that, was that Ron would talk a lot of game. Because that's why I was like, wait a minute. When he was folding his arms after game 3, I was like, oh, this guy's about to explode. I was always waiting for him to just go bananas on the sideline, just run down the sideline, pushing people, knocking over Gatorade, just upset. And I would have felt better. I'd have been like, okay, well, he has passion for this game. He really wants to win. All right, Ron. I mean, you're still sorry at this, but great. And then Mitch once again brought up what we've been talking about. How is it that 2 former linebackers had the softest middle in the NFL and probably the ACC? You know what I'm saying? We crossed over, Jean, but how sorry our linebacker core was, man. And it was game after game after game after game. And they just ate it up. They were like, so y'all not going to put nobody in but the Mayo guy? All right. they just... It was a clinic. So,
well, think about it, man. You a rookie, man, and you're $110, and you're getting blasted. And you're like, you know what, man? I'm not tackling. I'm done tackling, and I'm getting a check.
Hey, and he sat on the sideline. How many days?
Yeah.
Like 4 games.
Yeah, he surprisingly said, I didn't think that was the problem. Is he didn't want to tackle.
Well, that's what he said. But now here's what I'm saying. Then why is he on the squad?
Because he's cheap.
Well, he's definitely going to be cheap, and that because he's not going to get anywhere with that pedigree on his that rumor that he ain't Deion. Now everybody used to talk about how Deion kind of tackled. You know what I'm saying?
He covered though.
He would argue right, and he ain't Deion. Now, if he was a blanket, then I'd have been like, yeah, he don't have to tackle. And we said that when he got drafted.
Shut down.
Wait, this is the NFL. This guy was lighter than my lady. I'm just trying to get you to understand that. That's light, fellas. And so if I'm that light, we thought it. Obviously, Mitch is saying he knows he's light. But you know what though? I got the old pictures, man. All of us was light too. There's ways
to get light,
man. We wasn't
that light though.
Hey, listen, as light as I was in high school, I was
he's razor thin. He's thin as a dime. But man, you can get on something, man. I was shocked to see him. He was doing an interview this year, and I was shocked to see him. What you call it out in this little bra, or whatever. And I was like, oh, he didn't look like he picked up any weight.
They talked about the quarterback, our quarterback Jayden before the draft, and he was light, but to look at him, he's not light.
Well, Jayden Daniels, he was 210 at his pro day, right?
Yeah.
They said that
he doesn't look light.
Lamar Jackson came in at 205 this year.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Same.
So somebody else lost a lot of weight.
I thought it was the old quarterback.
Wilson. Yep.
Wilson.
Russell yeah, they say Russell looking good at Pittsburgh, man.
Yeah, Russell lost a lot of weight.
Russell he's gonna embarrass your boy.
I seen Jayden Daniels at the rookie. They had some rookie thing where they were all in the uniforms.
Yeah.
And he was just the same size as everybody else.
You see how much bigger he was than Caleb Williams?
Yeah. He was
like 4 inches taller than Caleb Williams.
He was 4 inches on Caleb.
Well, our defensive coordinator, or at least the linebacker coach, they talk about being violent. So that's why he's second string right now, Al. If that was the thing, you can't be violent getting out there talking about, so I don't feel like coming around that corner, man.
Well, he also said he's not doing positions right now. It's just putting people in different spots, at different times. So
he's trying to find out how he can use them.
Or just sometimes you start with the one, sometimes you start with the twos, just rotating players that were at this point. Right. No depth chart.
Right.
Yeah, but you know that matters though, man. We all been in there. You know that.
Yeah, it does.
Matters. But it's good because when you angry, you're gonna make things happen. When you're angry,
well, you find out if you can make it happen.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
You know, to see that anger from somebody. Like, you know what? Wait a minute. They picked me first. You know that you're going to go out there every time. I'm talking about Bama's being in the locker room tossing the ball. You smacking it now. Pow! Nobody catches anything around me.
This is kids. They out there
playing. No, you're not catching nothing around me.
He has to show up this year.
Gumbo.
Yeah, well, him and Davis both have to show, man. Davis,
he's making 3.5 this year. You got to get some money, bang for your buck at this point.
Yeah.
Because next year he's gonna be gone. If he doesn't show out this year.
Mitch, the way when we mentioned Davis, Mitch, I thought he was gonna call him a bum straight up. The way his body language was.
He cut him for next year now.
No, he was like, this is the last year. I was like,
wow.
Well, because he's going to be third on the depth chart at this point. He's not starting in front of Frankie.
He also said that Bobby Wagner's old. He can't cover, so it's like
he did say that. Yeah.
Well, he's a field general. He's a field general. Remember?
No, but still, that's true. On third down, prevent. You're gonna give that guy the opportunity to, goal line, put him in on goal line, But those times you're not gonna have him in there like the 3 downs either, and you're gonna have to get this young guy to do something.
Yeah, it's still early, but they're gonna figure it out. Well, but they had him practicing that defensive end, putting his hand in dirt, like Mitch said.
He wasn't it? Was that him?
No, he rushed a couple times last year, but
no. But I'm saying, didn't he come out of college and they said he played a little end, or was that somebody else? He played middle linebacker straight up. I was not here. It was somebody else we had that played a little end, and we did something to him. Okay, never mind. I'm tripping.
We position flexed a lot of people out of the league.
But it's like he said, man, we messed up our center draft pick by trying to put him at guard with no coaching. How you gonna change somebody's position and then don't coach him? I mean, we had nepo coaches. And they never said, I didn't realize until he said that the line coach had a back injury and never coached the whole year.
Never coached the game.
We had high school coaches out there, man.
Ron Rivera came up. He was like, hey, man.
Ron Rivera stole money.
They're going to give me another shot. Come on up. and he brought Carolina South up north, and they were bad down there. And his cousin, he's cousin in them. He got them cousin in them. Yeah, man.
Everybody got paid.
Everybody got a job. And they was in there playing around with everybody's feelings and emotions. But going back to what I was saying, though, it's sad, man. The locker room should never be political, man. It should be about performance. Performance on the field, gentlemen. That's it. If you're not doing it, yeah, you got the pedigree. Yeah, we drafted you at this position. Yeah, but we're not going to let you mess up our season. You can go back. And that is what is always thing. And then by having that understanding that I'm not safe, keeps a player razor sharp. And that's just what I remember. But times are different. So you got a bunch of guys who making millions of dollars scared to say something. Wow.
Hey, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But listen, fellas, hey, man, I think we had some great intel tonight. I want to thank you guys because I know you're not going to say it out loud for finally admitting that I am right. And and it's okay.
Which problem that you said about 100 things?
Let it go. Let it go, Deacon. It's okay. It's all right. Breathe it in. Breathe it out.
Let me publicly apologize. To Trey Z. For last Tuesday, I didn't see you. I didn't see you down here, man.
Hey, I sat there and watched this dude in this little pre-sermon he gave. I'm like, I was just waiting.
I didn't see you down there.
I was down there through the whole thing you was talking about. And then when the show came on and we started talking about the fight, I was like, oh, that was the only thing I was here for.
See, what happens is on my screen, it was like 6 people, and then it goes under. It starts another row, but I can't see the other row.
Hey, look, Al, what he got me on his screen is labeled Bama. You saw that? He ain't coming on. Man. He ain't coming on tonight. No, it's all good. It's all good. Hey, but if you guys didn't take an opportunity to watch probably one of the only NASCAR shows in the DMV right now with the OGs as we talk about all things NASCAR. And always remember, you don't have to like each time, but definitely subscribe right now so that you can see us get on all the time and watch and listen to this content. Fellas, y'all ready?
Let's go, baby.
1, 2.